Hello everyone, this is Benjamin Holmes reporting live from Managua, Nicaragua, near the site of what were violent clashes not long ago. The police have been opening fire on protesters. At this time, there don't seem to be any police around, but the protesters have set up roadblocks to defend their positions. We have some medics on the scene treating people who have been injured. We're here by a gas station. The Hilton that you see beyond me and the mall that is right nearby is actually where the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights recently gave their initial report on the human rights violations taking place by the Ortega government against the protesters. I understand that a number of people have been shot. You can hear improvised mortars in the background. Viewer discretion is advised. This feed may contain violent imagery, and we will try to stay as safe as possible. Right now I'm trying to get my bearings and try to pick out some good places to hide if that would become necessary. The problem is we see these people moving around on motorcycles. The paramilitary Sandinista youth also frequently use motorcycles, so while the locals are much more adept at knowing who is who, I'm a little bit in the dark on that. So I'm going to try to keep myself out of harm's way. I'm also trying to avoid face shots of the firefighters and of the medics that are supporting, as they also may face repression if they were to be identified. Somebody's chiming in saying socialism. A lot of the people that are protesting are actually protesting because they believe that Ortega is no longer a socialist, but in fact a neoliberal, that he is doing things not for the Nicaraguan people, but for himself and those close to him, as he cozies up to foreign interests. That is their complaint. At this time, it would be a strong debate as to whether or not you could even call his government that. I'm approaching another one of the roadblocks. I'm hearing what sounds to be either improvised mortars or possibly also gunshots. As you can see here, to my right is Metro Centro, the city's largest shopping mall. Again, we're right by the shopping mall and also by the hotel where the the Inter-American Commission for Human Rights recently released their interim report on the violence here, citing that over 70 people have been killed, over 800 wounded, and hundreds of disappearances and arrests have taken place at the hands of the government. I seem to be getting a little bit closer to where clashes may be taking place right now. Hola. I've been told to keep my head down because at this time police and paramilitary have been seemingly firing indiscriminately into the crowds, sometimes even at press, even credentialed press such as myself. Seeing a number of student demonstrators down here. I'm going to try to get a little closer. I'm not sure whether they're actually up against anything right now or whether these are simply warning shots. I do totally understand the irony that I'm running around a gas station. I'm also seeing some emergency response vehicles over here, look to be ambulances. The protesters seem to be mobilizing. This may be the sign of a clash about to occur. Prensa americano. Están aquí a la vuelta. Aquí no. ¿Cómo? Órale. Got a protester that looks to be carrying a shotgun. I can't yet see what they're firing at. Again, this is Ben Holmes reporting live from Managua, Nicaragua. What's going on right now is many of the local universities have been occupied. También. Many of the, there's a little anti-Trump message there. We're based on fears that the United States may get involved. Can't tell whether we have riot police up here or not. However, the protesters have been occupying many of the universities here in hopes of pushing Daniel Ortega from power, who they believe has become a dictator. Yes, this is Ben Holmes reporting from Nicaragua. Many of what you're seeing now are the protesters firing improvised mortars. They're kind of metal tubes with handles attached to them that they've been using to launch mortars to defend themselves against police. Looks like now that sounds like gunfire. So I'm moving back, running ahead, trying to get behind further walls. Not sure who exactly we're up against right now, whether this is police or paramilitary. It's very hard to tell. They're still running. I'm going to keep running. It's not a lot of breath. ¿Están tirando armas o bombas? Bomba. He says police is throwing concussion grenades. Doesn't appear yet to be live ammo. But the protesters are, looks like, trying to reinforce some of the roadblocks here. course, also keeping an eye. There are other groups of protesters behind us that are kind of holding the rear as well, but I'm definitely behind the lines, not behind the state right now. I'm told the protesters are friendly to foreign press. They want us to tell their story. However, I know there was a vice correspondent just today who said that the paramilitaries, the Juventud Sandinista, the Sandinista youth that are loyal to the president, was indiscriminately firing at demonstrators. I'm going to try to get myself to a spot where I have more than one exit. These are still ambulances. We're still seeing ambulances approaching. I imagine, hopefully, they won't fire on other emergency services, but really I don't know. Also seeing other press arriving. Falling back to another roadblock here. You can see anti-administration graffiti everywhere. Seems that the firefighters and EMS are still supporting the protesters and providing aid. I'm back to kind of where I started, hoping my driver stays put, but we have a contingency plan for that as well. Looking for a good spot to lay low here. Still more emergency services arriving. Red Cross is arriving. I'm imagining that may mean that there are some wounded. ¿Hay heridos?
No, no hay heridos por el momento. Se necesita el apoyo de toda la población. Los antimotines están tirando balas a matar. Ahorita nosotros nos estamos...
Para traducir, he says right now that they need the help of the people, that the riot police have not yet hit anybody, but they are firing live ammunition. They are firing, he says they're firing to kill.
Nosotros lo que necesitamos es el apoyo de la población nicaragüense.
He says they need the help of the Nicaraguan people to come here and assist them.
Los antimotines están tirando a matar, balas de verdad, no son chicles, son balas. Y agarraron a uno
they're firing guns with bullets, not gum.
Necesitamos el apoyo de todos, morteros, porque también nosotros nos debemos de defender. Si ellos están atacando, nosotros debemos de defender al pueblo. Estamos defendiendo al pueblo nicaragüense. Miren a todos los que estamos aquí, somos jóvenes.
He says they're young people, they're here, they're trying to defend themselves.
Somos jóvenes, un futuro por delante. Y ustedes en su casa ahí, vengan a defender también a Nicaragua.
That they need to come and they must defend Nicaragua. So, if anybody has any questions, I'll do my best to try to answer them in between running away from these very tense situations, and I'll try to keep you all as posted as possible. Well, it's interesting. Somebody said, never give up your guns. Guns are actually legal in Nicaragua to own. Many people have guns. They never did fully disarm following the Civil War, and especially in the north, a lot of people do remain armed. But also, I mean, there's gun stores here in the capital as well. So that's not so much a question. At this point, the protesters, it would seem, are choosing to not use firearms against the government, perhaps in a symbolic move to maintain legitimacy for their movement. I'm just walking back to check to see if my taxi is still here or if he was forced to move. We're here right next to a McDonald's. If you're wondering why at any point I'm pointing the camera in an odd direction, it's trying to avoid getting the faces of people who are unmasked. Looks like my taxi's still here. I'm just gonna check in with him really quickly, make sure he's okay. Actually, it looks like, oh, he's out of the car. ¿Todo bien? Looks like the McDonald's crew is holed up inside. They're not coming out. They're sheltering in place. I'm seeing smoke. I'm imagining it's probably tires being burned at this time. From what I've understood of a lot of these clashes, they're kind of hit or miss. The opposition paramilitaries or the police will sort of raid, just raiding campaigns against the outskirts of the protests, trying to break through, open fire, try to scare people away from their positions. If they yield, they advance. Otherwise, perhaps they will test another spot. I'm trying to see if I can figure out. Yeah, they do have the barricades down here have been set on fire. The roadblocks and whatnot. Looks like we have a number of burning tires and a much more substantial roadblock down there. How's the Nicaraguan McDonald's? I haven't tried it. I don't eat McDonald's at home either, but so I'm probably not the right person to ask. Again, this is Ben Holmes reporting live from the streets of Managua, just outside of the down from the Hilton Princess Hotel, a McDonald's and a couple gas stations, and right by the largest mall in the city, where just days before the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights released a report accusing the Ortega regime of using inordinate violence against demonstrators that have so far resulted in over 80 deaths, hundreds, if not approaching 1,000 injured, and perhaps many more that have been detained or disappeared. We seem to be in a lull right now. I don't have much hope that this lull is going to last. I'm starting to hear fire again. Again, I can't confirm personally whether this is gunfire or perhaps other crowd control devices, or if it's the protesters firing their improvised mortars back at the police. I'm going to put the camera down for just a second, just so I can get some water. Appreciate everyone's patience. Well, the deaths have been by paramilitary and allegedly police as well. The paramilitaries have been accused of receiving a lot of their weapons actually from the police. At this time, the military has stayed by their promise not to become involved in the repression of its citizens, and have instead decided to fortify and protect what they're calling things that are vital to the infrastructure and continuing operation of the country, such as airports, gas lines, and other infrastructure, power stations, things like that. But they have not been participating and have so far refused to participate in what they call acts of repression against the people. I'm going to start walking back towards where those clashes took place earlier. I'm seeing that a number of emergency services are still there on the scene, probably treating some wounded. Nobody has yet said that there have been anybody who's been shot, but that can of course change at any time. I see another member of the press, the Nicaraguan press, approaching him, and see if he can give me any information. Vienen todavía los montineros. Vienen todavía los montineros, están ahí pegados.
Ahí están, pero están disparando con AK.
Con AK.
AK-47. Ahí están.
¿A matar o...?
A matar. A matar. Hay una cantidad de heridos incalculable.
¿Ya están heridos aquí?
Sí, los bomberos y la Cruz Roja se los está llevando. Ellos calculan más o menos más de 60 personas heridas.
¿De aquí ahorita?
Sí, o durante el día.
Durante el día.
Sí, la gasolinera...
¿Algunos muertos aún?
No sé, no hay reportes de muertos. La gasolinera está sirviendo como centro de atención de los médicos.
Es un centro muy peligroso para...
Demasiado, demasiado.
Con toda esa gasolina. Bueno, gracias. He was telling me the police are down here around the corner. He is telling me, he's a reporter from a local outlet, that the police are they are firing live rounds with AK-47s. They are firing to kill. He's saying that there were just multiple wounded in that clash that I ran from earlier. No dead yet. He says that he's aware of. The first aid people here, the medical people, are using a very tenuous position here as an aid rendering station, in the form of a gas station of all places, with all this gunfire. So as far as the free press, in the initial days, there had been accusations of severe restrictions put on the press. There have been stations that are not sympathetic to the government that have been shut down. At this time, I'm not aware of any further shutdowns. I may also put the camera down here for a moment to try to get some some camera shots up here of some of the activists down on the front lines here. So I apologize if I put the phone down, and I'm going to try to get some stills. Please be patient. Hola, ¿qué tal? And right now I'm just getting a couple still shots of what's in front of me here up at the front line. We are again being told that this is live ammo that has been fired at protesters. I'm actually behind a concrete wall at the moment, kind of making sure that I'm in a position where I can take cover if I need to. I'm gonna put the phone down again for a second, so I can have everything ready to go if I would need to run. Looks like some of the protesters are perhaps advancing. I would imagine that on the police side there may be some sympathetic government press, but they may choose not to be filming these things. A lot of the government press that I've seen only films when protesters have been seen perhaps destroying something that that they didn't. Apologies on that. I'm going to try to circle around to the other side of this bus to see if maybe I can get a clear line of sight on, and maybe even be able to see some of these riot police. Or actually maybe this big metal post is a safer thing to stand behind. Looks like people are pulling back, perhaps. Or it looks like maybe there's also now clashes taking place on the other side. There are. That's gunfire. That's definitely gunfire. We're pulling back. Police firing at us. All right. I'm going to try to cross here, get farther away.
Inside, man.
Okay. I'm now inside a place that appears to be pretty well walled off. I'm gonna sit down for a second and catch my breath. What we were just up against was police and paramilitary in pickup trucks. They were firing. Apparently live rounds. I'm already identifying possible exit here, although I'm not honestly seeing one. Hay otra salida de aquí. Yes. I'm going to crawl up onto this roof and see if I have a way out up there if I would need to get out. Yes, that was very close. That was absolutely very close to me. I'm now seeing there are police trucks that you see going by there, loaded with gunmen. I'm going to try to get up on to this roof here. Pero si vienen. Gonna see if I can get up onto this roof. Oh, nope, this roof is not stable. I'm gonna get back down before I get myself shot.